Welcome to the Full-Time Fantasy Podcast, presented by the Fantasy Football World Championship, home to the industry's most accurate rankings.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Full-Time Fantasy Football Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Adam Krautwurst, and with me is a BFF of mine from Western New York, Louie G at FF_Louie G. What is up, my friend?
What is going on? Good to see you.
I know. It's been a while.
It's been a while. So we have strayed so much that you legitimately texted me today, 3 weeks after Vegas, asking, wait, you weren't in Vegas. I don't think we've fallen off that much as friends to think that I would have been in Vegas with you and not said something. But
that's what I was hoping. I was fearing because our last text was something about Vegas. I'm like, wait a minute, did you go and you didn't tell me you were there? I didn't see you. What the heck? Crazy. But who knows, dude? Between Vegas is crazy. We could be in the same hotel and not even know.
Same room, yes.
I don't
think that would happen with us, but yes, I know it could be.
Oh my God. Well, thanks for joining me tonight, dude. We'll talk some, we'll talk about some waivers. We'll talk about a couple topics, a couple players that I want to just get your take on because that I'm struggling with. And but before we do that, tell everyone who's listening where they can find you, what you're doing.
Yeah, so I am the host of Analytics or For the Nerds. We do a fantasy football comedy podcast. My co-host is Allie Brady, who's a stand-up comic in Buffalo, New York, and actually we have a third co-host, Ryan Mura. He does not. He's not a stand-up comedian, but pretty funny, but perfect third wheel for us. So yeah, we've been the three of us have been together for a few years doing that. So you could always catch us on that. We're on YouTube at Not Your Uncle's Podcast Network, and I have a couple other podcasts that are on there if you want to check that out. And yeah,
perfect, love it. Well, thanks for joining me tonight, dude. Let's talk. So let's talk some fantasy. Before we get into the waivers and all that, I just want to talk about a couple of players I want to get your takes on that I'm kind of just annoyed with or just want to see what you're thinking. A guy that I have every year, I'm always overweight on this guy, and I feel like the last 2 or 3 years have just been a nightmare to start the season. Mark Andrews is a guy that I had to stop taking towards the end of drafts. I have way too much of this guy. Last year started off super slow, but we blamed it on the car accident. And then he ended up tight end 2 the rest of the way, the last 12 weeks. What are your thoughts on Mark Andrews? The Ravens have scored 80 points in 2 weeks, and he has 2 catches.
We legit just had this conversation on the podcast.
I believe
talked about wetting the whistle here as I just talked about some of these topics. But yeah, we had a segment basically asking, are these guys dead? And he was one of them that was on it, and we both agreed that he is. I mean, here's my point on if he had I already was kind of feeling that way coming into the season. That they were going to maybe start using likely more. The likely injury opens up this opportunity for him to kind of say, no, I'm the top dog here. I'm the guy. And obviously that's not happened and worked out. So now, you're getting likely returning here in the next week or two. I mean, don't they try to get him involved too? You got Hopkins looking good. Lamar already, they're not already not throwing the ball a bunch. Bateman hasn't done much, so he's going to start getting involved a little bit more. I don't know if Andrews wasn't a factor of there are no other mouths to feed, but now you got Zay Flowers turning into a pretty elite wide receiver. Yeah. You had Bateman have a good year last year. You got Likely, who has been a thing, and who knows how long Hopkins will stay, but Hopkins has been a target guy for Lamar here, especially in the red zone this last couple of weeks. So Yeah, I'm pretty much avoiding them anywhere, and I think you could really, I think you could sit some guy. I would be starting. I'll tell you how off I am. I'd be starting like a guy like Jatavian Sanders this week over him.
Oh, I love Jatavian Sanders.
But like, yep.
Yeah, so I don't have any type of, I come from the other side where I'm overweight on him, and I don't have any nerdy analytics to tell people why they should stick with Mark Andrews other than the fact that this happened last year and they turned it around. I was under the impression that this was going to be his like revenge tour after the Bills playoff game last year. And then he comes out against Buffalo and does nothing. Now, I will say he caught a touchdown on Sunday and no one's talking about, like, he literally catches it. He's in the end zone, takes like 3 steps and then it gets punched out. I'm screaming at my TV that's a touchdown. Harbaugh's got the red flag in his hand, doesn't throw it. If he throws it, that's a touchdown. And maybe we're not having this conversation, but I don't have anything other than to say this happened last year and they figured it out. But you're right. I'm as of right now, I'm starting some other kind of mid-level tight ends over him until he kind of gets his act together. But just know that he has the capability when you bench him to have that. I know some tight end premium isn't super popular, but like tight end premium, he can crush you. But I think he's got to earn his way back into the starting lineup. Dude, he just turned 30 like a week ago. Like, I don't know. I don't have anything to refute what you're saying. I would certainly put him on the bench until future notice, though. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, and I hope I'm not
right. Like, are you cutting him?
I don't think you could cut him in almost any scenario yet. Definitely not tight end premium. But I don't think I'm starting him until he proves it.
Yeah.
I know this isn't really a dynasty podcast. I talk a lot of dynasty on mine. Is just like there's a little bit of attraction to him there buying low because of what you just said. Like, he's 30. Ertz has shown that you can go to another team and, maybe they move on from him after this year and he can go to another team and still be productive. So like, I'm not saying that his career is dead. I'm saying this year, I don't see it.
Yeah. And this week, they're playing the Lions, which you think, oh, it's a shootout, but the Lions have been one of the best teams against tight ends this year and last year. So yeah, I mean, Hunter Henry, Dalton Kincaid, Harold Fannin. I mean, those are guys you're probably starting over Andrews, which is kind of sick to think about, but that's kind of where we are. All right, moving on. A guy that I'm overweight on as well. And it makes me want to puke. I mean, I kind of know the reasons why it's happening, but AJ Brown, a guy that I was taking a lot of in the mid-second round. Last year, the Eagles threw 26 times a game, right? And it's like, well, they can't throw less than 26 times a game in 2025. And he had like 1,100 yards, a bunch of touchdowns last year. Even if they get to 30 pass attempts a game, that's like another, 30 targets for him over the course of the year. That's another couple of touchdowns. Like, I love AJ Brown, and they have somehow figured out a way. Dude, Sunday, 12% of their plays were the tush push. 12% of their entire game's plays were an illegal play that goes a half a yard and takes 12 minutes to run. So, like, it's been gross. Is the answer just, hey, we need them to play like the Rams and get in a shootout? Is that the answer?
We would have made really bad partners this year, man. We would have made really bad partners. I faded him pretty hard this offseason too. For many of the points, like you just, you made the points. What the points are against him. Now you add his 28-year-old season coming off of an injury. This is another thing, and it's more Mira's point than mine on her pipe. But another thing we just talked about on the podcast is like neither of us had just ever loved Jalen Hurts as a quarterback. And I know, in a fantasy aspect, obviously he's always great because he's got the touchdowns and the tush push. But like, this isn't just an AJ Brown thing this year. Like Devontae Smith hasn't done anything. Goddard didn't do anything week 1. They didn't even throw to the tight ends week 2. Like, this isn't just this is a passing game thing. He's never been like he's never really even been in his career like this huge like high upside player. where you can get like a real big boom week. You know, he has them here and there, like most great players do, but his thing has kind of been consistency. And when your quarterback's not consistently throwing the ball, it's hard to be consistent. I again with him is like, there's a lot of guys that I would be, you know, he was probably a top 10, 11 being drafted as a top 10, 11 wide receiver this year. I'm probably have them in my 30s right now as far as rankings weekly.
Yeah. They need teams to score on them more. Like their defense, like the Rams this week, Tampa the following week. Those should be some games where they can get into some shootouts.
Let's see that, right? Like, let's see those games to see what their game script looks like when teams can score on them. But like, also, can teams score on them?
Right.
Like, the defense is great, right. And when they can just run the ball and just keep doing that, it's tough to see where he's going to have huge production.
But. Yeah, for sure. I mean, luckily we got away with, a lot of the tournaments and stuff. You were able to sit in week 1, right? Because you got the free look, so that was good. You didn't get burned there. And then last week you just get burned on him, and that I guess it's that whole receiving core, it's that whole offense. So, all right, a couple more guys, and we can even wrap them into kind of one big package here. The rookie running backs, man, Genty, Hampton, and Henderson. Guys that I don't have a lot of shares of. I don't have a lot of shares at all of Genty because he was going in the range where I just loved the receivers, the Pukas, the Amon-Ra, St. Browns, that type of thing. So I have a lot of those guys. But, I did a 5K in Vegas, and I went Puka, Amon-Ra, then it came all the way back around to me, and I ended up with Hampton and Henderson. What are your thoughts? I know they're all kind of different things, but like, Genty, all the films coming out that he stinks as a blocker. He's sitting for Dylan Lobby at the end of games. You got Hampton, who I think's just been kind of unlucky with he didn't even have a carry. He had one carry in the first quarter, and it was like an 8-yard gain, got called back. So he didn't even have a carry till like the 4th drive of the game. And then Henderson's just not, he had 2 catches for 35 yards last week. Like, he's explosive, but he's not getting the ball. What are your kind of thoughts on these guys? I know, I don't know what your preseason thoughts were, but can these guys turn it around?
You gotta really try hard. We spend the whole offseason saying you got to build your teams for balance for early season production, and you can't count on rookies too much. We legit beat this into our heads all off season. And then, after 2 weeks, we're overreacting to why aren't they, thing. Now, Ramondre Stevenson's my highest owned running back in best ball and underdog, and probably just all over my portfolio. He seemed like a Vrabel guy, right? Like, again, you got to kind of know the coaches too. Like, and this is going back to Vrabel and Harbaugh, at least for Hampton and Henderson. Is like, these are two, kind of old school veteran coaches that are going to lean to Najee and Stevenson a little bit, especially early in the season, because they're the veteran guys. And I know you could probably fight this a little bit more on Najee, but like, Stevenson's a good ball player. He's a good football player, and I think he's a good running back. And I think you're just kind of showing that I think that's going to be a 50-50 split all year. To your point, I think Henderson's got a little bit more explosiveness and might be a better, best ball play. But you tell me, until it changes, I'm starting Stevenson over Henderson every week. Right now.
Real quick on that. I think the thing that's killed him has been Antonio Gibson, right? Like, Gibson got I think it was 8 fantasy points or something, or something like that this last game. And if you give half of those to Henderson, he ends up with a week that doesn't kill you, like 9 points. And 2, so the average final position of a running back. So if you get 50 catches, the average running back finish you're going to have is RB12 on the season. I think he had 2 or 3 catches on Sunday. I think he's still probably going to get to 50 catches, but he needs to get rid of, Gibson's got to be out of the mix. Like I'm okay with a 60-40 split between Stevenson and him, and let him kind of do his thing when he gets the touches. But it's the Gibson stuff that's driving me crazy. But
I will just to just not to correct you, but Gibson, I think, was because he had a kickoff return because he only had 5 rushes for 27 yards. So he had a kickoff return for a touchdown.
Even that, Henderson returned a kickoff in the preseason.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I mean, those points count as a touchdown. But yeah, he did get 5 rushes. So like Gibson. So, Henderson gets 3 rushes. Gibson gets 5. Those now Henderson has 8 rushes. To your point, like that's more than twice the amount of carries. So
yeah, and Jerry,
I think it comes.
Jerry makes a good point in the chat. I forgot all those little things. Henderson had 3 holding calls against him in college. He was supposed to be this great, like that was the big thing on him, is he's a great blocker, so maybe he just had a bad week and they were just kind of sad him. But again, it's early, like you said. What are your thoughts on some of the other guys?
So Hampton, to your point, I really like the player. I still think it comes together. I think that's going to be, and you saw Najee coming off the injury. He said he was going to get him way more involved in week 2. He did. I see that being kind of a 50-50 split. Rookies usually really hit their stride around week 8, week 9. I think you'll see that be, the Hampton and Henderson will be the guys that you'll want on these tournament teams at the end of the year, but you just can't build on just rookies. Genty, call this blind love, call this, over committed to him. That's not someone I'm going to overreact to in 2 weeks. I think he is a class above the other 2 guys and by quite a lot. And I'm not going to totally kill him after 2 bad weeks playing for the Raiders. I think that's going to come to fruition. And Carroll even said as much, like, hey, he's a rookie. It's week 2. We're going to get him a little bit more involved. The one good thing for going for him compared to the other 2 guys is he really doesn't have competition there. Right. There's nobody really to say, okay, we're going to give the veteran some look. So I think he gets it together. The other 2 are a little bit more scary, especially here the next 6-7 weeks. I'd be a little bit careful starting them.
Yeah, Genty's got a nice, the 5th best remaining running back schedule. I mean, obviously it's based off of 2 data points, weeks 1 and 2, but he gets Chicago in 2 weeks. They're awful. Indy, not good. Tennessee. He does get the Chiefs, and the end of the season's tough for him. Like the fantasy playoffs is Philly, Houston. They got 2 really good run defenses, but yeah, I mean, they just got to get him more involved in the passing game, and Chip Kelly loves to run a ton of plays, and Carroll loves to run the ball. So I think, yeah, the one that I'm feeling the best about kind of recovering is certainly Genty, but you had to spend a lot more to get him though too. So that's where it becomes interesting. So, all right, let's dive into some waiver stuff here. Not a big waiver week, to be honest. Not a ton. Thank goodness, not a ton of injuries. Obviously, had the Austin Eckler kind of major injury there. We got some quarterback injuries, Burrow, and stuff like that. But usually the waivers get hit hard when it's like running backs, especially running backs, but like running backs and receivers. So we'll just go through. What are your, quarterback Daniel Jones on waivers? Are you buying the Colts offense this year? Are you buying into the Daniel Jones kind of rejuvenation?
I rewatched the 2 games here this week, and not that I don't want to sit here and say I'm some form of film guru either. Like I'm not trying to play that, but just to kind of get a sense of like, was it game script? What is he really making these throws? Man, he looks really good. And so like, yeah, I'm buying into it. Is he going to be, QB4 or whatever he is right now? No, I don't think so. But yeah, he's probably my biggest buy. I have him. I'll tell you what, I have him. You want to talk about waivers? I have him as my top bid in a main where I'm dropping Stroud today.
Dude, I was just going to bring that up. We're talking about like, every time you got to add a player, you got to drop a player, right? And I was just about to say, dude, I've been doing waivers and stuff like that. And it's like, and I'm usually the wait on quarterback guy. So there's some teams, if I have an elite quarterback, I don't have a second quarterback. And if I don't, I've got 2. And CJ Stroud is like one of the guys like, man, do I drop CJ Stroud for Daniel Jones? Do I, there's a couple of, Matt Stafford for Daniel Jones? Like, I'm with you. I think it's a fresh start for him, right? It's a new team. It's new life. It's Steichen's great. The team is, it's got Jonathan Taylor, great line. The team seems bought in and great.
Warren's the real deal.
Warren's the real deal. He plays in a weak division, and he can run a little bit like this. I'm overweight on JT, and Daniel Jones is pissing me off. But it's almost like one of those things where, like, every time I drafted Barkley, I drafted Hurts. Every time I drafted Henry, I drafted Lamar, because I don't want to watch a game where they're stealing each other's touchdown. If I've got a JT team and Daniel Jones available, I might go grab him, because then I'm guaranteed every freaking rushing score, kind of for the rest of the season. So, but you're right, man. You got to drop those CJ Strouds to get him. You got to drop, kind of those 15th, 13th round picks to go get Daniel Jones. And I think I'm okay with it.
Yeah, too many people are. I was one of them. I think I had a few Strouds this year, and I will say this. I just said this on my podcast. I give me 2 weeks of Christian Kirk before I officially call Stroud dead, because I do think he presents something in that offense that nobody else does right now, and so I'm not. I don't have the last nail in the coffin on Stroud.
Yeah,
but I'll maneuver right now, because this is a good week to maneuver, because I even think outside of Jones, who's now done it 2 weeks in a row, and I think you get a little bit of decent value. Like, I think all the injuries have provided. I'm a very big, like, let me buy the system, not the player type of thing. Yeah. And Mac Jones, right? Jake Browning had great numbers the last time he came in for Burrow, and I think that that offense is still clicking. Like, it's still chasing Higgins there, so I think he could be sneaky good. I think there. I mentioned this in my pod. Is there not like a really 20% chance that Wentz comes in's good for 3 weeks and just keeps the job? If Wentz comes in and for McCarthy goes 3-0 and looks, like Sam Darnold did last year, McCarthy's sitting for the rest of the year until Wentz's wheels
fall happened off. Before. Stuff like that's happened before, for sure. Yeah.
Wentz is like really kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. And there's a lot of, like, this week's kind of like the quarterback take a stand on court. You're going to see next week you'll be doing a waiver show, and you'll find CJ Stroud on waivers. There'll be all these like random Matt Stafford, like all these guys will be out there. There might be some Trevor Lawrences out there too, like, and we'll be, because we're just kind of rolling through these backup quarterbacks. So yeah, there's opportunities for these guys. And I think if you're a Joe Burrow owner, I think you really gotta like me. I don't draft elite quarterbacks, so I have one big team that's a Joe Burrow only, no other quarterbacks, and I'm trying to pick up all these guys you were saying, the Wentzes, the Daniel Jones. I'll do 2 or 3 quarterbacks and try to fill in the gaps for Burrow. But it's going to be an interesting week for the quarterback situation for sure. Commanders running backs. Eckler's out. You got Bill Krosky-Merritt, who's had the most pure run out in the history of running backs. I don't want to laugh at injuries, but one guy gets traded next week, other guy's out for the year. This guy goes from nothing to like a guy.
And he still only got 3 points or whatever, but it has been a pure run for him.
He's not a free agent, but where are you on like McNichols and I'm listening to the other guys. Rodriguez. Yeah. Where are you with those guys?
I kind of been flip-flopping back and forth, and I think where I'm going to land here when I do my last edits when we get off is I think I'm going to put McNichols just slightly ahead. And in my thought process is get the player that's going to replace the injured player, right? And like Eckler was that ball catcher. I don't think that they're going to switch that as much. I think they just want to fill that role. And to me, that's McNichols over Rodriguez, where Rodriguez is more of the runner, but I do think that they're going to give JCM that opportunity to kind of be that guy. So I like them both, and I think they both need to be picked up this week if you have the spot, just to see which one, looks like they have a bigger role. But I think I'm slightly leaning Rodriguez now because he fills the Eckler role a little bit better. Not that Eckler was tearing it up either.
McNichols, you mean? McNichols.
I'm sorry. Yeah. What did I say?
McNichols. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I think, I have this like saying that's like, never drop a running back ever. I'm always just because anyone that's an injury away, like my roster will have every running back ever. I hate dropping running backs, so I'm always trying to add running backs.
Yep.
But it's just like I agree with you. I think McNichols is the pickup for sure. I just wonder if they do allow Krosky Merritt to maybe get a little bit more involved in the passing game, only because like McNichols is on his 10th NFL team. He turns 30. His career high for catches is 28. So it's not like he's, I don't know, like some like immediate fill-in for Eckler with the catches. So we're adding them for sure to take a look, but I wouldn't go crazy on bids for these guys because I think it's just a situation that you kind of want to avoid. But I think if you own Krosky Merritt, you're probably excited because again, I'm not a film junkie like you, but I always wonder the difference between like, oh, this guy never had any catches in college. This guy never had to was he dropping everything in sight or were they just not throwing the ball to the running backs? Like, can he catch? Like, can I see videos of him dropping passes everywhere? Like, so I would be interested to kind of see kind of what that looks like for Krosky Merritt.
Yeah, for sure.
And we'll find out soon. All right. Wide receivers. I'm kind of jump all. Actually, let me stick with another running back here. Yep. Woody Marks for the Texans. Got the number 2 role this week. This last week, spelling Nick Chubb. He only played 13 snaps or whatever, but Chubb kind of looks like a plotter. Obviously, again, I'm always adding running backs. Any running back that I've heard of, that's an injury away. But the door is kind of open for Marks. He had like a one explosive play on Sunday, and we don't know anything about Joe Mixon. He might not even play this year for all we know. Is Marks a guy that you care about at all?
I'll be a little hot takey. I don't think Mixon plays another down in the NFL.
Yeah.
I think it's that bad. I there's just been too much quietness about the whole situation. Right. None of him. Right. I feel like this is really bad. So I am not counting on him being part of this thing this year at all. I think you could be counting on the Texans falling apart a little bit, although they are in a weak division, so maybe they stay in it. But is Chubb going to stay healthy? To your point, he's just been a plotter when he's, the 2 games. I don't think Marks is probably going to be available in a lot of leagues, at least a lot of sharp leagues.
Sure.
But if he is, I think he's a must add here this week for sure, because I think that I don't love the profile either of the player, but again, system over everything, and there's nobody else there. They're sitting Dameon Pierce last week. I was kind of in on him in the preseason with this Mixon news. Is like, oh, maybe Pierce will get some kind of role. Well, it ain't going to be Pierce. It doesn't look like he's in favor. So as soon as Chubb falls off, the wheels fall off, which looks like they're kind of tumbling now. I think Woody Marks has a little bit of upside there for sure.
For sure. 2 quick waiver questions. Number 1, Buccaneers defense or Colts defense for streaming. We've got Colts against the Titans at the Titans, Buccaneers home against the Jets. I like the Colts there. Anytime you can play a rookie quarterback, I know it's on the road, but you have opportunities for pick sixes and sacks and stuff like that over the Bucs, who will be home against the Jets. Tyrod Taylor will be starting. Tyrod Taylor's a smart quarterback. Like, he's been around. He's a veteran. He's not going to be. He doesn't turn the ball over. We had him here in Buffalo for forever. Like, he'll be smart with the ball. So I like the Colts defense there. Are you on the same page there, Lou?
I'm gonna just favor Tampa, not just to argue with you, but I'm gonna favor Tampa just a touch home. That their defense has been incredible against the run, and Brees is really their only all they'll have going for him this week is their opportunity would be Brees, but they've been they held Bijan to 24 yards the first week. Last week nobody ran against them, so I kind of favor Tampa at home against. Even though Tyrod might not make mistakes, I still think they'll hold them to minimal points. And I don't know. There's a couple things. Colts on the road. And there's just this thing with Cam Ward. I don't like the player. I have faded Cam Ward pretty hard. Dynasty, redraft, everything. But isn't there this thing with just like a rookie quarterback where it's just like, oh, he has that game like week 3, like, oh, he might be good, And I'm just, I'd be a little bit more worried about his upside against a Colts team, and just those games, those division games kind of get weird sometimes. I'll take a small lean on the Bucks, but I'm not fighting you too hard on it.
Yeah. My thing with defense is like, really, it's just about, because a lot of leagues we play in, it's like defenses don't even matter. It's like, unless you're going to score a touchdown, like they're all going to be around the same amount of points. So I'm kind of looking for someone to make a stupid mistake and throw a pick 6 or something. All right. We have a quick question, but I want to talk about a guy first, and then we can answer this question because it ties in. Wide receivers, Troy Franklin, he's available out there in some of these waiver streets through the first couple of weeks here of the season. And then I want to get your take on him, Lou, because I know you're a big dynasty guy, so you probably have some takes on him from last season. Tied for 12th in the league with 38 slot snaps, 71 yards after the catch is 7th, 2.38 yards per route run is 17th, a couple missed tackles, 5th, 12 receptions, tied for 14th. So he's breaking out here a little bit. He's with his college quarterback, Bo Nix. I wanted the Bills to draft him in the worst way last year, but he was pretty terrible at some things, but maybe he got better at them. What are your thoughts on Troy Franklin?
I mean, he's tied with, he's ahead of Ladd McConkey, Calvin Ridley, Keon Coleman, Travis Hunter, Quentin Johnson, Nico Collins, ahead of these guys on targets alone. So like he's getting the targets. He's evolved into not just that deep threat player. He out-targeted everybody on the team. Obviously, this last week, Sutton had a horrible game. I think he's the real deal. And I think if he's available, especially on a Knicks team in these like tournaments where like you want boom or bust later in the year, I would really be targeting him pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't like huge. I wasn't really drafting the Denver offense this year. I don't think Sutton's kind of peaked. And even if Sutton's best years are not like incredible, I thought there was a little, Evan Ingram's done literally nothing. I thought there was a little room there for something. And, I didn't draft a lot of Troy Franklin because why would you? But now that I've like been on him, like now that he's breaking out a little bit, it's like, man, this might stick. I'm not saying he's going to be a top 12 receiver, but he'd probably be worth a flex option. He's available in some of these high stakes leagues too. Yeah. I'd be put in a bid for him. We have an interesting question from Jerry Daily Double. Waiver wire preferences: Tesla or Franklin? Listen, I think Tesla's the better receiver, but I like Franklin because he's just got a better path to targets. Tesla's going to make a one-handed catch every week for 3 fantasy points, and that's it. Because he's 5th on the depth chart or whatever. But he needs an injury. Tesla, man, Tesla's a stud.
I love the player, and something's gonna have to change there probably next year. Maybe they I don't know, trade.
What do they do?
St. Brown or Jameson Williams or something, but like something, maybe it doesn't. Maybe they just say like whatever. But he's definitely a baller. But yeah, without an injury, to me it's easily Franklin.
Yes,
it's just I think Nix is a really good quarterback. Peyton's arguably a really good offensive coach. Nothing else that, even the running game that we wanted to like really buy into there with Dobbins and Harvey hasn't been amazing these first 2 weeks for really either of them. Dobbins a little bit better than Harvey, obviously. But like you said, Ingram failing, Sutton having a bad game. I think Franklin could have a pretty big role in this offense. So I'm Franklin pretty easily there.
And you kind of said it too, like, get creative. If you've got Amon-Ra or Jameson Williams, go get Tesla as a hand. You normally don't ever handcuff receivers, but I think this is a situation where you can, because the offense is so good and he's so good that if Amon-Ra goes down, God forbid, or Jameson Williams, man, he could slide in and he could be a wide receiver 3, rest of the season. So look at your roster and kind of figure it out that way. for sure. What are you doing with, there's all these, I'm looking at some waiver options here. What are you doing with the Packers receiving core, dude? We've got Dobbs, we got Wicks, we got Christian Watson, we got all these, Golden, obviously the number one pick there. They remind me a lot of like the Bills receiving core. Like, who do you start? They're like a best ball receiving core to me. Unless you get some injuries, which now we've got, what's his name's out for probably, Reed's up maybe after the season with collarbone and a foot. So it's kind of thinning out a little bit, but then Christian Watson's like, oh, I'm ready to practice week 6. Oh, you're going to practice in a month? That's wonderful. Thank you for that. That's helpful. Where are you with the Packers receivers?
I can't see the Watson thing. I know they just gave him the extension, but to me, the extension was almost like, hey, you don't need to rush back this year. But maybe it's not. And now with the Reed injury, maybe there's a little bit of urgency, not just from him, but from the team that, hey, if you could help us out in any way, get back. Don't they seem like a team? And again, I never know how these teams do it. Sometimes, they just get Parsons, and I don't know their salary cap situation, but it seems like good teams, when they need to go get somebody, they could. I would see that they could possibly add somebody here over the next few weeks. I wish the Bills would give them a 4th round pick and to take Samuel and a 4th round pick, free up $11 million rather than if you cut Samuel, you only get, 500,000. Someone trades for him, you get 11 million. I would give up a 4th round pick just to free up the 11 million and bring in somebody else if I was the Bills. But I could see them adding a wide receiver. You nailed it. They're just like they're a best ball a wide receiver core. I don't think it's crazy to say that I like Dubs the best, and I think he's the most consistent. But I didn't love Golden the player. I'm gonna sit here and not take victory laps after week 2, but I really did not think that was gonna work. It looks like he's getting off to a slow start in the NFL, but he's gonna have every opportunity to prove it now. With the Reed injury. But yeah, I don't love that. I don't love that. That room. Give me Kraft. Like, I'll take Kraft all day.
Yeah, Kraft.
He's gonna.
Dude, funny story about Kraft is I just, you get into the season, man. You're drafting. You and I, we're drafting next week for next season. All right, right. Like, we're psychopaths, and I got to Vegas, and I'm like drafting, and I get in this 5K. And I'm like, it gets time to pick a tight end. And I'm like, I'm looking at Andrews again. I've got so much Andrews. And actually, it was Stacy who was sitting next to me, helping me draft. Packers fan. She's like, what are you doing? She's like, take Tucker Kraft. I'm like, I have no Tucker Kraft. I don't really have a feel for Tucker Kraft. Like, it's a 5K. All right, I'll take Tucker Kraft. Tight end 1, like having a great year. I can't even take credit for it. But yeah, you're right. Kraft is the wide receiver 1 there. He looks great. Loves him, and he's got the position all to himself pretty much. So I think that's a great call actually on that one. But yeah, I think Dobbs is going to have some opportunities and some other stuff there. So yeah, just some kind of interesting pickups here. We got a couple. You got 2 more minutes, Lou. We'll answer a couple of these.
Whatever. Yeah, I'm good.
We got a Bills question here. I figure we'd take this one. Is Buffalo's running back room worth stashing? The backup, I guess. Yeah, Ray Davis. Should I grab Wan'Dale Robinson standard league? Yeah, and then he also said he has Bucky Irving, Bijan Robinson, and Kai Williams as the starters. Real quick, I'm always the guy that's picking up running backs, man. He's an injury away from being a top 15 fantasy running back. So I would always do that, even with your deep running back room. And I don't know what type of league this is, but in the high stakes leagues, you won't find Ray Davis anywhere. I mean, he was a 10th round pick, so I think if you have an opportunity to have that kind of high end handcuff, I think that's great.
I think it was more so he was asking, should he keep Davis or go and grab Robinson? Is maybe how I read.
Yeah, I would read the
question. Okay. But yeah, I think I love your point, and you're right.
You're right. It was keep Davis. Yeah, I would keep Davis over grabbing Robinson. But go ahead.
and I follow your same kind of philosophy there is like, running backs just have a lot more value, especially in a standard league. If it's not PPR, like Wandale PPR might be wide receiver 1 right now with 77 catches for 97 yards. But he, I like Wandale a lot. I will say this. I'm not a big believer of paying running backs and, kind of the whole running backs don't matter kind of crowd, but I am ecstatic that the Bills paid James Cook, and it's mostly not because of what James Cook has done. It's what Ray Davis looks like when he's in there. I am not a big fan of Ray Davis, and I almost think that with any significant injury of James Cook, that they would bring in somebody to
Alvin Kamara. Anyone? Alvin Kamara?
I just don't think Davis would go right to a bell cow role. So I'm not as like high on the idea as you are, but I still think you almost have to keep you have to keep the RB1 in the league's handcuff. You have to do it.
Right. And that's right. And that's kind of the point. Yeah, exactly. So, I'm team never drop a running back ever. Especially ones that are one injury away from being the RB1 on the best offense in football. So, awesome. Yeah. So I think we did pretty good here. Any streamers this week, Lou? Any like defense? Like I like Seattle defense as a streamer. You got any like
Seattle was really the one that I have been targeting. I mean, I'm never gonna sit here and try to sound like a kicker guru, so I won't even tell you how my rankings have been there, because probably if I look at 20 teams, they're probably all ranked differently, because I just like, ooh, I like that guy. Kickers, kickers
clicking the same guys every time.
Just to do something different. But the defenses, I pushed pretty hard for Seattle, but there's a lot of good opportunities for defenses this week. There was like some leagues where I was like, oh, there's like 5 or 6 of like the lower end defenses, the unknown defenses that have great matchups. So like, I'm a real big believer of not going, I went pretty decent on my Seattle bids, but like after that, like I kind of all bid them pretty low and just, I don't mind which one. One guy though, if you don't mind me taking more time of your time,
sure.
One guy that I thought you might mention that, I've seen on a few of my waiver wires that I am really big into is like, I think if Brashard Smith is still on your waiver wire, you need to go get him. They need to change something there, right? Like it's not going good. And the first, what's that? Quarterback? Yeah. They need to get rid of that loser QB and they'll figure out but I think Brashard Smith is like a really good buy right now because, I think he has the most upside in that backfield, and probably if it's not soon, it will be when you want him to be good, later in the year. So
later on. Yeah, that's fair for sure. It's hard to like, Brashard Smith's a great one. It's hard for me early on in the season to find room because it's how many guys have we truly given up on yet, right? So now you're like looking at your roster, like unless you have a major injury or a guy like a Brashard Smith, like maybe you're holding like a Justice Hill or I don't know, just some kind of guy on the bench that's not even going to do anything if there is an injury to the starting running back. It's hard to get to the Brashard Smith ranking on your roster where you have guys to drop that you've given up on. So, but I think you're absolutely right. It's, it might not be this week, but there could be a week this year where all of a sudden everyone's running another waiver wire for him. You can get him now for super cheap, or you can kind of wait it out or hope that Louie's not in your league, just snagging him up for $4 across waivers in every league. So, but yeah, no, Brashard is a real good one because you're right. They do need to. I think they think they'll be okay when the receivers get healthy, but their offense hasn't been good in 3 years. The only team they can score on is the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. Okay, like I'm not even making that up. They scored 30 points one time in the last like 2 years. It was against the Bills in the playoffs. Like, oh God, enough of that already. So, Lou, dude, thanks so much for joining me. I'll be out in Buffalo for the Patriots game in a couple weeks. We'll have to hang out because I'm sure you'll be there. Sunday night football. Is it Sunday night? Yeah.
Yeah, Sunday night. Don't remind me.
Don't-
I hate that this team is good.
Right.
Give me 1 p.m. Sundays for
Every-
year. I am dreading tomorrow. All right, I got to rush out of work on time. Go out there tailgate for 8 hours. I got Friday morning work. Just go back to being shitty. Win a Super Bowl first, but then go back to being crappy, so I could go back to my Sunday 1 p.m. games and be normal.
But dude, you're a psychopath. Like, I have so many. You have more lineups to set than I do. How are you getting lineups set in a abandoned Orchard Park parking lot in the morning?
I have made so the first 2 weeks have been really, really good because there hasn't been too many injury issues, right? Like last second start and sit. So I have been done
Saturday night or whatever.
Saturday night or getting out Sunday. It is brutal because after, and we've talked about this, after a certain amount of people start filling up the lots, we lose internet there. So like I have until 10:30, 11 to get it all in, and it's on home game. So I do find myself needing to err on the side of caution. But then, all my big important teams, I got guys that have logins.
Yeah,
I got co-owners. We could get in
right.
if we need.
First world problems. For yes. For sure. So, all right, Lou, thanks for joining me, dude. We'll talk soon, and thanks everybody. We'll see you next week for some more waiver news. See you guys.